Today's interview is with Jane Jackson, and Jane is a very established career coach and has a wonderful career as a successful entrepreneur, been self-generating for a very long time. And the reason that I've selected Jane as our career transition expert is because she not only does the career coaching so effectively, but she's also very, very effective in this online world of personal branding. And I don't know about you, but that's something that I'm still learning a lot about. So, so today we'll cover aspects of what we can be really honing in on to improve our ability to gain that traction we need if we're looking for work or looking for more clients in our own business, certainly. And then what is this online world and how do we play there? What do we need to do to facilitate this process of working a business or getting a new job in this new world of COVID.
Okay, well, thank you. Thank you for such a nice introduction, and hello to everybody. It's really nice to be here this morning, and thank you for inviting me on ZedAxis TV, Lia. It's always lovely when coaches come together and collaborate because, you know, we've got different experiences and we can help people in different ways as well. But I'm a career management coach and I specialize in career transition coaching as well as career development coaching. And basically what I do is I help senior executives through the emotional roller coaster of career change and redundancy and layoffs. And I do a lot of outplacement coaching as well. So as you can see just behind me there, I'm the author of Navigating Career Crossroads, and the second edition was just released last month. So it's amazing. It's kind of going like hotcakes at the moment because I think it's a sign of the times with everything happening in 2020, with COVID, with people being stood down or furloughed, or whatever word you want to call it. Furloughed is a new word that I learned, actually. They use it a lot in the UK for being stood down, but sounds a bit complicated. But because so many people's jobs, careers are being affected, and there's this huge element of anxiety with businesses and small, medium businesses in particular too, because they're wondering if they're going to be able to survive. And many are coming to me because they're thinking, you know, maybe I better get a job because I'm not sure what's going to happen. And so what I do is I support people in as many ways as I can so that they can take control of their careers. Because when you feel in control, you feel a lot more confident, and then you're able to achieve what you aspire towards. So I'm very happy to be here today to have a chat with you, Lia, and just discuss whatever might be helpful to any of you.
Yes, I guess what comes to mind, Jane, is that there are so many different places that people can go for help. And I guess that's the first thing that I always encourage people is just put your hand up somewhere to ask for help. But I guess if you know, there's a myriad of career coaches and places you can go. What would be the main reason that people are choosing you, are you finding?
Oh, because I'm a warm and fuzzy career coach. I found I've been getting a lot of inquiries recently, and I've noticed that there's been a trend, actually. This is really quite interesting, is that I've been coaching now for nearly 20 years. So it's a long time. And so I know a lot of people, and I've coached so many people over the years. So I tend to get a lot of referrals from people who already know me. And that's the easiest way. You know, if you're running your own business, getting referrals is the best way to secure your next clients or customers. And also, if you're looking for a job, having a referral into a company is your best way to get your foot in the door as well. But what I've noticed with my businesses, especially over the past 5 years, because I leverage online a lot, and I'm on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, but LinkedIn is the main platform. What I found is that people are now coming to me, and when they book an exploratory career conversation with me, I always say, how did you find me? And I'm getting so many now that it doesn't say referrals anymore. It says through an internet search, through Google, through LinkedIn, or through YouTube. And even yesterday, I was mentioning to you, Lia, just before we went live, yesterday I spoke to a lovely lady in Marbella, and she said that she found me on YouTube because she really enjoyed one of the LinkedIn live broadcasts that I did. And when I said to her at the end of our exploratory conversation, I say always a good idea to talk to a few other coaches, just to be sure that I'm the one for you, because we must have a really good rapport, because coaching is a very close relationship, and you have to feel comfortable with me, otherwise it doesn't work. And she goes, Jane, I already know you. I've consumed so much of your content that you're the one already. And I thought, wow, that's really nice. So all my years of producing content and sharing it online, on LinkedIn, on YouTube, on Facebook, etc., is certainly yielding very good results for me. So think about that, everybody. Your online brand really matters.
Yeah, and I think that's definitely that, and that's great that you're seeing that happening for you. But for someone just starting out right now, when we hear personal brand, I know for me, I think the logo, I think colors, I think, it's that traditional way that we used to do marketing. And now with the internet and online and LinkedIn, it's like, well, how do you create an intentional online brand? Do you just start posting whatever you feel like? I think certainly the experience I have with professionals, and particularly the executives that are coming out of corporate and wanting to become consultants or transitioning into coaching, the idea of posting their views online actually scares them. They don't want to be criticized. They don't want to be talking to a vacuum. They haven't, it's like this foreign world. And I don't know, is that your experience, or perhaps, I don't know, I'd love your view maybe on, is that something you help people with as well?
Yeah, well, I help people with it, but I mean, for myself, when I always wonder, I wonder what sort of reaction I'm going to get to this. And sometimes I just want to be a bit controversial, because when I started my career way back a million years ago in Hong Kong, I was in public relations, and my boss, I remember, said at the time, there is no bad PR. What it does is it generates discussion. And the thing is that obviously you don't want to have a negative brand, you want to have a positive brand. But if someone is of a different opinion from you, let's have a debate about it. There's nothing wrong with someone having a different opinion. And I always say, post an opinion piece, but before you even do that, do not post anything until you know what you're doing, and you know who you are and what it is you represent, and what is the message that you want to get out to the world. Who are you?
Hang on. So who are you? What is your message?
Take notes fast.
Yes.
Yeah,
That's why we need the recording. So who you are, what is your message? What do you stand for? Is that another sort of way of saying what is your message?
Why are you here, basically? I mean, we all have a reason for being, and we all want to have our existence validated. And you need to really think about what it is that you bring to the world, and what is your business, or what is your career, and why are you doing it? Because if you feel not very enthusiastic about it, then I wonder, why on earth are you in this? Because for coaching, for me, this is my reason for being. I love coaching, I love helping people, and it's been this way really since I turned 40. So now I'm 61. I've been at this for a long time now. Okay, so a long time, and I don't plan on ever stopping. So anyone who thinks there's ageism and sexism and racism and all of these other things that are a major debate at the moment, how are you going to overcome it? Yes. And I could easily think, oh, I'm too old, but you know what, I never stop learning. Now, with regard to your brand, first of all, understand who you are, what you represent, and what problems do you solve for people or organizations. Because once you know what that is, then you can start to craft your message and think what it is that you want to get out there. Because just randomly posting on social media, sure, you can do that on Facebook on your personal profile if you want, because it can be family and fun stuff if that's what you're doing. But when it comes to your professional brand, and now I'm just going to focus on LinkedIn, because that's the one platform where you'll get the most return on investment of your time, especially as a job seeker or business building. B2B is very strong on LinkedIn now. It's not just a a resume database, as some people tend to think, but you can certainly build your brand on LinkedIn. So focusing on LinkedIn, don't start posting anything until you know what message you want to get out there. A lot of people, my clients, when I first meet them, they're randomly liking other people's posts but not commenting. So what's the point in that? You know, if you're going to comment, share your expertise, add something valuable. And that's a good way to dip your toe in the water when you start to become visible online. But if you're going to share posts yourself, be very targeted and think about your audience and what is it that they need to know about you so that you can make yourself valuable, whether you're a business or a job seeker. And, you know, say if you're a marketing manager, then you can start to create content that is to do with marketing in your area of expertise. I bet if you think about just in 5 minutes, you can write down 10 things that you know about your area of expertise. And if you've got those 10 things, you write an interesting post or an article about each of those topics. That's 10 pieces of content. You release that once a week. That's 10 weeks of content already done, but it's all in your area of expertise. So you're educating people about what you can do. Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely. And what I'm also hearing too, Jane, is the specificity. Get specific about what problem you're solving. Get specific about what you know, what your message is about, because, and that's very different from the world of, you know, I have a big corporate background in sales, and it was very much the consultative sales process of, like, your first conversation was all about, well, tell me, you know, about your business and tell me what about your challenges. We have to be far more prepared and do a lot of that research before we have that initial conversation with a new client. Similarly, what I'm hearing about, we've got to turn that spotlight on to ourselves and say, well, what do I stand for, and what is the thing that I want to become known for as that specialist? You know, just like I've selected you out of a sea of career coaches, because I am, you know, very aware, and I follow you on LinkedIn, and I am very, you know, I resonate with the way that you deliver information and the way that you conduct yourself and what you're passionate about and all of those things. And so, and particularly as a mature person, because I agree with you, you know, our beliefs have never been more important. I think that's the other thing I'm hearing from you as well, that, you know, the secret to youth is to believe, to start believing that we really can recreate ourselves and pivot, or, you know, whatever the latest word is. So thank you for articulating that. And the other thing that came to mind too was that, you know, this is the ideal time to ask for help, you know, to be guided through that inner journey of, well, what am I really about, and what do I want to keep doing, and perhaps what do I not want to do anymore. So I think this is also where the blend of career coaching, of looking forward, but also the inner world coaching that you do is such a great combination.
You know, when it comes to branding yourself, the most important thing is to have that introspection, because we have 5 aspects of image. And I talk about this a lot when it comes to branding. And so I'll just quickly explain. I won't go into long detail, but there are 5 aspects of image. One is your hidden image. One is your assumed image. One is your visual image. The next is the experienced image. And finally, the fifth aspect of your image is your proven image over time. And so if you are able to manage all aspects of those, and they're congruent one with the other, because as soon as there's something that puts a bit of doubt in someone's mind, your whole brand just goes out the window. So you have to be authentic at all times, but project it right from your hidden image, because that's really, it's our beliefs, it's the way we've been brought up, perhaps the culture that we grew up in, whether we were first, second or third born, whether we were the favorite child or not, whether school was easy for us or school was was hard, whether we were bullied, all of these things put a filter over the way we actually view our world. And it will affect the way you assume things about the world as well, and your reactions to it. So when you're aware of what it is that really makes you tick, then you will understand why you react in certain ways in certain situations as well. And you can start to overcome any self-limiting beliefs that might be there, that just sitting on your shoulder, telling you that, oh, you're no good, you can't do it, imposter syndrome, all those things. I feel those all the time. I just have to get over myself as well, because I think...
And yeah, this is the thing, is it, that a couple of those are universal, isn't it? The I'm not good enough. That's probably the big one, that is that inner critic, the inner saboteur. And I find it really comforting that that you have that too. You know,
all the time. And let me tell any business owner, you ask any business owner, they all have imposter syndrome at some stage. I went on this business retreat 3 years ago, and it's so funny. And they were all fantastic entrepreneurs. You know, there were about 40 of us in the room, and we were looking forward to a wonderful retreat. It was in Austinmere. It was beautiful, right by the water. And we were talking about imposter syndrome, and we were asked, you know, who has experienced it? Everybody put their hand up. Everyone in the room put their hand up. And, you know, you look around and you think, really, you too? You seem to have it so together. And you think, oh, honestly, we're just human. All we're doing is we're running a business. We're learning along the way. And, you know, I've made lots of mistakes, but, you know, I just tend to dance in the moment. You know what? The secret to youth, I reckon, the fountain of youth, is to dance in the moment. And you think, oh, okay, well, this ain't working. What am I going to do next? And if we keep learning, that really is I think it makes life worthwhile. And my kids, who are in their 30s now, they're in the mid-30s, they go, Mum, you're so up to speed with tech. I mean, I'm not a STEM expert like you, but I just like playing with technology. And I think, oh, I don't know how this works. Let me get onto TikTok and see. So the other day, I set up a TikTok account. Beware, everybody. There may be a bit of Jane dancing around soon. And I used to be a choreographer, so you might not know about that, but that was like 30 years ago. So it could have some fun stuff, but you just keep learning new technology. This is what will help you when you are marketing yourself into a new role, okay, or you want to expand your business, because tech is changing so rapidly that if you
but there's another difference in your thinking. I'm just picking up where you're ahead of the game. You are marketing yourself into a new role. Like, that's a new persona. In the old days, we just used to go for a job. You know, we just used to put in a seek application. But this is also why our online presence is so important, isn't it? Because employers will go to that profile before they interview you. Absolutely. Almost the LinkedIn profile is more important than your resume. And in fact, we do have a question here too, around what is the best way to make your application stand out? Because even with company referrals, I've found it difficult to progress to the first round. How can I stand out better? And I think this really speaks to the heart of what we're saying here. You know, there is a sea of applicants, and there are walls. HR departments seem to have, their walls have gotten thicker. And nobody has conversations anymore.
Yeah, that really is. Yeah, thanks, Jenny. That's a really, really good question, because in fact, I have to say that, you know, many clients who come to me, the first thing is like, I've made hundreds of applications and nothing's happening. No one's responding, or else it's an automated response. And then I ask them, you know, what have they done? And it tends to be a lot of online applications. And honestly, online applications are one way to get your application in there. But more often than not, you get an automated response that said, oh, thank you so much, but, you know, because we've had such a high caliber of candidates, even though, you know, you're highly qualified, unfortunately, at this stage, you know, we won't be progressing with your perfect application. And then you get really frustrated, because you think, I've read the job description, I'm perfect for that job. How come I haven't got a look in? And it is annoying, because the system is not fair. It's not fair. And you can try and beat the system, you know, by you know, playing around with your keywords and things like that. But certainly the referrals make a big difference. But you say, even with a company referral, you found it difficult to progress to the first round. Okay, so you've had a referral come to you, and you craft your resume, you craft your cover letter. Okay, I'm watching you, Jenny, you're nodding. Okay, so I just want to make sure that I've got the right scenario here. And you've submitted your application online because someone has said, oh, there's this job going, or else maybe you sent someone an email with your resume attached as well, and then nothing. Is that right? Yeah. Okay. So very frustrating. First of all, following up is always a good thing. Picking up the phone and having a chat to find out, am I in contention for this role or not? Because more often than not, all people want to know is, are you progressing or not? Because if you're not progressing, I have other fish to fry. I don't want to be sitting here waiting and fretting and thinking, do you love me or not? And if you don't, let me go. Okay. But if you don't hear back, what happens is you worry, and then you start to think, well, it's been 10 days. Should I call them? Oh, well, I don't want to bother them, and so I'm not going to call them. Should I send an email? Oh, I don't want to be a pest, so I won't send the email. So basically, you really making things hard for yourself. Whereas if you pick up the phone or you just send that follow-up email, find out yes or no. And then if there is no response, which is very rude, and that very often you don't get a response, and this really is a bugbear for me, because I think it's so rude not to respond to someone's request. I would pick up the phone and find out who is the consultant or who is the person who's handling the recruitment for this role. And you have to butter up the receptionist sometimes. Okay, so get to know the receptionist's name, and if the receptionist's name is, Joe or Mary, you can go, oh, Joe, like, I know it's the third time that I've called, but come on, put me through, put me out of my misery. You just somehow develop a bit of rapport with the receptionist, and you might be lucky. Another good trick is, if you can't get them with recruitment, because I'm a former recruiter, if you call before 8:30, this is when people are back in the office, if we ever go back in the office. If you call early before the receptionist is on duty, then you might be able to get them. Or if you call after hours, just, when most people tend to go home, then you might be able to get directly to a recruiter rather than a receptionist. Because what would happen when I was working with, say, so often I'd be working late, receptionist has gone home, the phone rings, someone's got to pick it up, and there might be a few recruiters, there, and it's always open plan offices, and I pick up the phone and they're saying, oh, whatever job it wasn't one of mine. I'll go, hey, Jack, was it yours? Yeah, okay, well, talk to this person. And then that way, very sneakily, you get through. So that could be something that you do. But most important thing is make sure you tailor your application first of all. Okay, so read very carefully the job description. Once you've got that, then pick up the phone and try and talk to someone about the application first, because very often if you can get through, you can get a little bit of additional information. But before you pick up the phone, make sure you've got a strong pitch. Let them know who you are, what you do, why they would be even interested in entertaining your application. So if you get a human being on the phone and they are handling that application, you can sell yourself over the phone beforehand. And then if they like the sound of you, they might even say, oh, okay, so why don't you just flick me your resume now via email, and you might even bypass the system, which would be quite good. Otherwise, at least they've heard your voice over the phone. They know that you can speak well, you make a lot of sense, and they'll be on the lookout for your name. And so that very often will help. If you can't get through, then you'll have to go through the online standard application process, but make sure that you've read all of the keywords in the job description. Make sure that whatever you can do, it reflects in your cover letter as well as your resume, so that there is a high percentage of the keyword matches. It's annoying to have to do it, but this is what you got to do, because if they want someone who's got C++ or Java, please make sure if they're looking for it, it's on page 1 of your resume. Don't make people have to turn to page 2 to find the relevant information. Put all the relevant stuff on page 1, because if you're lucky enough to get a human being scanning it, we only spend about 10-12 seconds per application anyway. And so if it doesn't capture our attention, you might go in the no or the maybe pile. And if you go in the yes pile, then of course I'll turn to page 2. So there has to be a match, and make it easy so that people can go, oh, yep, tick, 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 you're ticking all the boxes. Don't put the kitchen sink into your resume because you are so attached to what you did 15 years ago and you don't want to let it go because it's important to you. Might not be relevant for that particular audience. And so every application has to be tailored very closely. It takes time and effort, and yes, it's a lot of work, but anything that is worth having is worth working for.
And here I'm also hearing a lot of, like, trying to get a lot of touch points in up front through different ways as well, because You know, this is where with any, like today, the marketing statistics are saying that we need something like 17 to 20 touch points before somebody's got enough familiarity with us to have a conversation or to respond to an email. So how does that translate into the job market where they're being swamped? And so I think this plays back to the personal brand and how you're representing yourself on that first page, because I see way too much technical achievement. All of this technical achievement, that's not cutting it.
Yeah,
because it doesn't actually show the person behind the application.
Yeah. You know, it's so interesting. Only 5 years ago, they were saying it's 7 hours of experience and 11 touch points before someone will even think about buying something, you know, with those marketing statistics. But nowadays it's even more, because so many people are online and we're being bombarded with content on Instagram, on LinkedIn. There's content galore, and you don't really know where to look because there's so much there. But that's one of the reasons why I created a podcast, Your Career Podcast. It's been going for 5 years now, and that enables people very easily to have 7 hours of me in their ear, okay, or more, because I've got 194 episodes, I think I'm up to now. There's plenty of content there, and a lot of people actually do say they've heard me speak and they like that, and then they contact me. But people who hear me speak and don't like the way I work and the way I sound, they don't call me. So it's actually quite good, because then it saves me time. Okay.
So this is where I'm hearing, yes, so this is the principles behind attraction marketing, or, you know, inbound marketing, where the purpose of us defining who we are and what we want to be known for is so that people who resonate with us will actually feel more comfortable to reach out and connect. And so what would your advice be? I get that for consultants, coaches, people who are wanting more clients, but people in the corporate environment, do they need their own personal brand, Jane?
Oh, yes, more so than ever. Now, because it's 93% of recruiters and hiring managers tend to hop onto LinkedIn to source candidates as their first point of contact for sourcing, it's really important to have a really powerful online profile. Now, when you're creating your profile, remember I talked about the 5 aspects of image. Make sure that it is authentic. This is you, and don't let your LinkedIn profile look like your resume, because that's really quite boring and very dry. Resumes are not exciting. Okay, I don't know who loves looking through hundreds of resumes. Nobody really. You have to. But all the resume does is it tells us what you can do. So that is your number of years experience, your qualifications, and where you've been before. This is the can do thing. But there's so much more to a job than just what you can do. There's what you will do, your personal preferences, the way that you work. So many of us are working remotely more and more now. Are you willing to work full-time, or do you prefer part-time? Maybe you're juggling small children and you can't have a full-time job, or whatever your personal preference may be. So it's the willingness to work the way that your employer may want you to work as well. And then the next aspect that's really important, I think this is the clincher, is the best fit. It is. It's the culture of the organization, the personality of the hiring manager. Will you be a good fit? Will there be a rapport? Because, we're all of us, I'm sure everyone listening, that you form opinions of people when you first meet them, and you decide, I'll give them a few extra minutes of my time, or not interested in getting to know them. I mean, it's just human nature. You meet someone and just tell me, for those of you whose faces I can see, have you ever met someone and just thought, nah, don't like them for no good reason whatsoever? So unfair. You're making an assumption of a perfectly nice person, and you've decided that you don't like them because of something, and whatever that something is, it's your own bias, and it's what's happened because of your filter over the world. But I mean, it's just human nature, right? But it's good if we're aware of what our assumptions are and what has prompted those assumptions. But when it comes to your online brand, people are going to assume stuff about you, so it needs to be as authentic and you as possible, because if it isn't, you're going to attract the wrong audience. And like if you look on my LinkedIn profile, I've got a lot of content. There's lots of videos and articles and stuff that I just pump out all the time, because I like sharing stuff with people that I think is of value. If you're consuming my content and you don't like what I'm I'm putting out, then I'm not for you. And that's fine, because I'm not everybody's cup of tea. You know, I'm a warm, fuzzy, supportive coach, but some people don't want a warm, fuzzy. They might want someone who's more authoritarian. Now, let me tell you, I can get authoritarian if you don't do your homework when I'm coaching you. Okay? Because sometimes, you know, I do crack, but it's tough love, basically. I'm really nice, but then, you know, if you're not doing what you have to do to get ahead, then why am I coaching you? That's very often what I need to say, because you got to crack the whip sometimes, because you want to be coached in order to get to where you want to you know, where you aspire to. And if you're not willing to put in the work, don't work with me, because I need you to put in the work. And, you know, too many people, I think, want things too easily. You need to do the research. You need to understand. You need to sit and you need to write, and you need to put your thought leadership down there so people know what you are all about. And if that resonates with the right employer, then they'll think, this person could be a good fit. And fit, honestly, is a big deal. You know, for me now, I wouldn't want to be in a young, bubbly environment where everybody's, you know, like, oh, let's go for a drink after work right away and all this sort of thing, because I can't be bothered. I just want to get my work done. I want to have a nice chat with some people, maybe have a coffee, then I'll go home. So I wouldn't be the right fit for that environment. Not because I'm too old, it's just my personal preference. That's all, you know. So sometimes people think, oh, you know, people are being very biased, but it's because we have personal preferences. That's all.
We do. And what I'm also hearing is, you know, I'm wondering whether a lot of people understand the unique value of employing a coach in this transition time, because again, in the old days, often coaching was associated with lack of performance. Oh, you know, get that person a coach and we'll go through the performance improvement plan and we've ticked that box. You know, or coaching has sat in the realm of the CEO or the, you know, the secret squirrel business in the ELT, you know, executive leadership teams. But what I'm hearing, Jane, is, you know, your ability to really facilitate and accelerate all of that growth, you know, in a loving way, but also keep people's feet to the fire where necessary as well, with a breadth of experience that absolutely just comes through, you know, every cell of your being, if I may say so.
You know what? What's really quite funny? One day, it was one of the universities here in Sydney, and I was asked to provide leadership coaching to two of their practice leaders. And I turned up at the university, and this one woman, she didn't realize I was turning up at that time, and she goes, "Why are you here?" And I said, "Oh, I've been here because they've asked me to provide leadership coaching for you, executive coaching." She goes, "Why? What's wrong?" And I said, "Nothing wrong." I said, "Nothing wrong. I've been told how you know, how very effective you are as a leader, and you know, when it comes to executive coaching, it's making successful professionals excel even further. So you're doing a great job. They just think that you've got fantastic potential and you can take it to this next level." And then she stopped frowning. But initially it was like, are they going to let me go? What's going on? Why?
Yeah,
And she thought it was
exactly.
performance coaching, which it wasn't.
Exactly. Well, it's performance to move forward faster and better and broader with more capacity. So, yeah. So I guess this is again where the perception is. You know, we've got to like look at what we think or what we would have done 5 years ago, and really be open to doing it differently now, and particularly, you know, with the job market and the COVID and all of that. And I've just seen we've just gone 5 minutes overtime, so I do like to keep these tight. But I do, you know, I feel that I've just been able to see a little bit further under the lid there, Jane, with you. You've been very generous in how you've shared. Again, you have this lightness of being, of not taking things too seriously as well, to be able to dance through the process. And let's, you know, let's see this as our next adventure, as opposed to, you know, the grind of getting another job, or again, it's how we're looking at things. And so if people want to get to go deeper with you or learn more about what you offer, what are the best ways for them to connect with you, or to consume your wonderful content?
Before I do that, can I just give one suggestion to people? you know, for job
Yeah,
seekers
please.
in particular, because, you know, well, because we've all been working from home because of COVID, and many companies now realize that working remotely works very, very well. So, you know, I mean, it's just, I mean, really, we can work from anywhere. It's not just work from home, it's really work from anywhere. And so remote work is really going to be the way of the future. I'm not sure if you know, some of you may already know, but on LinkedIn, when you're looking for a job in that job seeker section, you can actually choose the option. Instead of saying Sydney or London or Singapore or wherever you may be, you can choose remote. Okay, so that's an option. So you can look for remote roles. So you can actually apply for a role in New York City if you like, if they're looking for someone who, it doesn't matter whether they go into the office or not. And most of us have realized, and I do all my coaching remotely, and that's why I've got clients, you know, around the world. It doesn't actually matter where we are, because technology is so sophisticated now that it works really well. So that's one, it opens up a little bit more for you, and you can apply for roles, you know, in any country in the world now, as long as they're open to sourcing for talent. And this is a trend. I was talking with an HR professional this morning. This is a trend that I see becoming more and more prevalent, because organizations are not going to be looking for candidates in their locality. They can source globally now, and that's going to be a huge trend moving forward. If, to your question, if anyone would like a bit more information, I've actually got 2 free things. Shall I pop it in the chat box
Yeah, please
for
do.
people? Because I've got a 3 secrets to personal branding for career success. It's just a free masterclass. It's 40 minutes, and it's at Jane Jackson. I'm just typing as I write. janejacksoncoach.com/3 and secrets. So I've just popped that in the chat box. So janejacksoncoach.com/3 secrets. And if you're thinking of an alternative income stream because the job is taking a little longer, you might want to explore if self-employment or freelancing or setting up your own business is an option. Just to explore, just to keep your options open, because we need to have multiple income streams now. Okay, the job might not quite cut it right now, so open up to other opportunities and explore if you could set something up as a side project or a side hustle, if you want to call it that, for some additional income. And I've got this here. It's a bit.ly link, https. I don't want it as a capital. Okay, that's it. What is it? bit.ly BBB Masterclass. Okay, there we go. So it's https, whatever it is, then bit.ly/BBB Masterclass. That's a free 40-minute masterclass on what you must consider to see if you are cut out for self-employment as well. And of course, janejacksoncoach.com is where you'll find me. And my book, okay, if you're looking for a job, this is very useful. 2nd edition came out last month, and it's doing well.
And that's an Amazon bestseller, I think, isn't it?
Yeah,
I think it was up there.
In job hunting and resumes, two categories. So that was, I think it's a sign of the times. It's because of COVID, really, that it just generated interest when it was released. It was first published 5 years ago, but I've done an update because there's so much more on LinkedIn now that you need to know. A lot of new features. So I've included that in the book too. So you can find it on Amazon. Okay.
Thank you very much. And of course, let's connect on LinkedIn if we're not connected there, and support each other in this brave new world that, and I think I'm particularly excited because nobody actually knows how to lead in this. We've never experienced what we've got right now. And so that does open up to all kinds of new possibilities, and that, you know, can only be better if that's, you know, how we set ourselves up to look for things better. Because there's that saying, what we focus on expands, and where our energy goes, results follow. And
can I say, Lia, that you are such an inspiration, because with ZedAxis and what you're doing for leaders and leadership coaching is amazing. And I'm not sure if you know, but Lia is a marathon runner as well. And so when it comes to training for a marathon, that shows true grit. Okay, I've run 2 marathons, but in my 20s. So in my dotage, now
Yeah,
everything hurts too much for me to run now. Okay, so
start running marathons in my 50s, and again, it's about the person, isn't it? And are they drinking their own Kool-Aid? And definitely Jane Jackson, you know, I think you've got some of the best quality Kool-Aid around. So I really thank you, and I thank everybody for joining us today. And I will also send through the link, because you've shared so much gold today, and I really appreciate your generosity with that.
thank you, guys. Good luck with your business.
Now.
Good luck with your jobs, and I'll see you on LinkedIn. Let's connect. Thanks, Lia.
Thank you.